In this lesson, I want to give an overview of the steps for character setup inside of Unreal. Now, I teach a whole class on this, so this is going to be a super summary, but essentially, if you're interested, there's a character setup workflow docs inside of Unreal, and there's an older tutorial series from 2015 by Wes Bund, which is pretty nice, and it goes through a lot of the steps, and it's a couple hours long. But overall, the steps are, you want to create your art assets, take some of the art assets and you can build them up from scratch, or you can use something that's more procedural like the Real Illusions Character Creator. You are going to set up a player controller which maps inputs from the keyboard to how the character inside of Unreal will respond. And that character becomes a pawn, and that pawn character moves around the level. The character blueprint then starts to specify certain rules that the character will follow. And those rules tie both to the controls as well as the animation blueprint, combining different animations that are input in different ways. There's state machines, which create rules for transitions between different things like when your character's walking to running to jumping, and then when your jumping comes down, how does it translate back? As well as different blend spaces. So how does your character transition from a walk to a run? As well as animation sequences. You might want to have things like, in the example that I've posted up here, a punch is demonstrated, and you could put a series of different punches that might activate in different ways. And finally, you can tie it all together with a game mode that specifies some of the overall rules and tells the game itself when it launches, okay, well, who's the pawn, who's the main character that's going to be inside of here, and what are the controls? 2 more slides which go over the key 7 steps at a glance. Again, create your assets. Generally, these are done outside of Unreal, and here are some of the typical packages you might use. Blender's free. There's also 3ds Max and Maya, which are really robust, and ZBrush for creating really great sculptures. There's Adobe Mixamo or Real Illusion Character Creator. Then you bring all those assets, and some of these will come in like with Real Illusion Character Creator. It pipes right into Unreal, and you can get animations, and they will just work right out of the box. You can set up a bunch of inputs, which some of those you might be more than familiar with if you play a lot of video games. So the WASD, as well as spacebar for jumping, shift for running. You can set all those inputs and create your own inside of Unreal. And you connect those to the movements of the character. Then you need to set up a bunch of blends that can blend the animation, or you can keep it simple. It just depends on what sort of character that you've created and how you want to create the rules for your game. Then, speaking of rules, you create the game mode, as well as some blueprints connecting it all to a player controller. And finally, gotta play and test your game. So I've highly simplified an overview framework of the character creation process. But having your own custom character running around the level and then tying additional things like real-time cloth to it, as well as other things like facial animation, can be a really gratifying process. All right, that's a quick overview. That'll wrap things up. See you in the next lesson.